Welcome back to GAA Fan TV. It was Cavan 210, Tipperary 15 points. Cavan, by the skin of their teeth, win the Division 4 title. I mean, that was very, very close there at the end. I think you had Stephen Quirk there at the end hitting the bar with that opportunity. It bounces off the line. I mean, Tipperary were very, very close. And even that last attack as well, maybe some semi-scoring opportunities there, but it was very, very close indeed. But in the end, Cavan are the champions of Division 4. They will be going up to Division 3 as the Division 4 champions. They'll be going in to the championship with a bit of momentum now before that Antrim game. And look, it was a very even game. Both sides were very evenly matched. There was no real clear favourite here in this game, in my opinion, although Cavan were the bookies' favourites, but I think largely so. This was a game that really could have went either way. First half, Tipperary were very direct, I felt, with those long balls, in particular into Sweeney, and it was causing a couple of problems. But to be fair to Padraig Faulkner, thought he had a very good game, and in particular the Cavan defence, which because we haven't got to see too much Division 4 football this year, if any at all. This is the first Division 4 game broadcasted live. But Cavan's defence looks pretty good, and they haven't actually conceded too much in the league this year. And you're looking at players like Luke Fortune, Killian Brady, these kind of lads, Conor Moyna. Cavan, when they won that Ulster title 2 years ago, they had a very solid defence. And I think that was sort of one of the big sort of key things about them, and that goalkeeper as well, and in Raymond Galligan, who, didn't really have to make any saves today. But generally speaking, when Cavan need him to step up to the mark, he usually does. And I'm not saying Cavan are going to go on and do anything major this year or anything like that in terms of Ulster championships or anything like that. But, very impressive stuff to keep a hold of Conor Sweeney, who scored 6 points in total, the majority of which were from place balls. Sean O'Connor, who obviously went off injured there as well. Didn't really have too much of an influence. Mikey O'Shea with 2 points. So, I think from a Cavan point of view, to be happy defensively. But yeah, I think the big turning point really was that Cavan goal. I mean, it was a brilliant ball from Stephen Smith into Paddy Lynch. Brilliantly placed ball into Lynch, who just comfortably slotted it beyond the Tipperary goalkeeper. And, it was kind of going either way at different times. And I think those goals for Cavan came at really decisive times. Big sort of critical points at the end of either half. And that was a big goal, no doubt about it, from Paddy Lynch, who was excellent today. 2-3 in total, man of the match on TG Carr. I don't think you can have any complaints about that. But I think a special mention has to go to Mark Russell, who was absolutely tremendous for Tipperary in midfield. 4 points in total in the game, 2 of which, I mean, all his points were brilliant, but his first 2 in the first half, that sort of outside of the boot slicer from the right-hand side of the pitch. Absolutely brilliant stuff there. And a brilliant point in the second half as well, quite early on from distance. So Tipperary have got a very good player on their hands there in Mark Russell. And he was brilliant. And, for Tipperary, maybe I thought towards the end of the second half, they just started playing maybe 1 or 2 sloppy passes. Maybe tiredness started to creep in. And I think Cavan, the momentum was really, really with Cavan, even though, Tipperary went 2 points in front. I think Kevin Fahey scored a big point and Conor Sweeney with another, and Tipperary were 2 points clear. And you thought maybe Tipp have turned the corner here, having, I suppose, trailed for the majority of the game. But once Cavan started to get back into it, Thomas Galligan latching on a few loose passes here and there, driving at that Tipperary defence, which they were causing a lot of problems for, in particular Paddy Lynch, in there as well, and Stephen Smith, Keane Madden, Grode McKiernan, who probably actually had a quiet enough game, finishing with just a point. He wasn't really in the game too much. I don't really remember him doing anything sort of huge, but some of those forward passes as well were absolutely key from a Cavan perspective. And obviously working the ball into Paddy Lynch for that second goal as well, when they very much hit Tipperary on the break. And Tipperary maybe just sort of, their organisation kind of fell out of themselves a little bit towards the end of the second half, I felt, in that kind of maybe third quarter. And Cavan really did capitalise quite heavily on it. But look, it wasn't without its drama, and Tipperary came roaring back. That big opportunity from the substitute, Stephen Quirk, who very nearly ends up winning it for Tipperary. Long ball in, ends up catching ahead of his man and hits it off the bar and on the line. I mean, if that goes in, Cavan have a bit of time to go down the other end and get the equaliser, but it was very, very close indeed. And, Conor Sweeney then gets a point from a free. And it's, they need one more chance. I actually felt like Tipperary could have went for that point that Conor Sweeney ended up getting from the free just maybe a few minutes earlier. Felt like maybe they were forcing the goal like a little bit too soon. They still had time for a point and they still had a couple of minutes as well. So maybe they had a little bit more time there, in my opinion, but it was very close. And even at the end there, they're waiting for that opportunity, that chance, and they just couldn't quite get the ball to the shooters, couldn't quite get the ball into Conor Sweeney, Mikey O'Shea. Just couldn't quite get the ball inside to those lads. And Cavan were very well organised for that final attack and get the job done and get the victory. And I think it was a very close game, but I think in the end, probably on the balance of play, you'd probably say that Cavan were probably the slightly better team, I think. They took their chances, took their goal opportunities, whereas Tipperary kind of had a few half chances here and there. Obviously, the big Stephen Quirk chance, but in the first half, like a few half chances here and there, a few half opportunities, but didn't really make Raymond Galligan work too much. And I think that was the big sort of difference there, you could say. But as I said, Patrick Faulkner was brilliant, hit a point as well. And just running through the scores, I suppose, in total, Conor Moyna with a point, Raymond Galligan with a point in there, James Smith with a point, Gerald McKiernan and Keane Madden and Stephen Smith all with a point. So points all around for the Cavan men there. And Paddy Lynch with 2-3. So he'll definitely be having a few more points later, no doubt about that. Tipperary then 6 points for Conor Sweeney, 2 for Mark O'Shea, or for Mikey O'Shea, I should say. Jack Kennedy with a point, Teddy Doyle with a point in there as well, Mark Russell with 4, and Kevin Fahey with a point as well. To be fair, I think Cavan's bench made a bit of an impact as well, in the likes of Conor Madden, who came off the bench, Conor Brady as well. Just thought they made a bit of a difference, as opposed to Tipperary. So if you're a Cavan man, you're confident maybe going into that Antrim game. It'll be a very close one, I think, and it'll be very interesting to see that game, no doubt about it. And make of it what you will. But look, bit of silverware in Crow Park. Gerald McKiernan, I'm sure, going up. I think he's the Cavan captain, isn't he? I think he is. He'll be going up lifting that trophy, the Division 4 trophy. So happy days from a Cavan point of view. But from Tipperary, look, they'll look back on their league campaign with a lot of fondness. Nearly won this game. It was very close. On another day, they might have just edged it. And I think promotion was the big thing there. And they'll carry a lot of momentum as well going into that Waterford game in the opening round of the Munster Football Championship, which I think a lot of people would expect Tipperary to win as well. And who knows, maybe these two could end up playing each other in a potential Tailteann Cup further down the line if neither of these do anything special in their provincial championship. So we'll see what happens there, but we'll go ahead and wrap this up here. If you could smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. Stay tuned for the match reaction for the Louth and Limerick game, which of course is throwing in very soon. And we've also got the Hurling League final to come as well. And stay tuned for more reactions tomorrow. If all goes well, hopefully I'll be at the game tomorrow. So I'm going to try get some content out in Crow Park as well. Feeling a little bit under the weather, but so far no COVID, so happy days. That's the main thing, isn't it? So that's the main thing, absolutely. So yeah, congratulations to Cavan fans. Without doubt, I'm sure there'll be celebrations all over Cavan and all over Dublin tonight, no doubt about it. But yeah, Cavan 210, Tipperary 15 points, and I'll see you all later.